Hi everybody, Dave here from HeyUGuys, and today we are going to be reviewing Free Fire, and I am joined by the wonderful John Lyus.
Hello, bonjour everyone.
Oh, you said far away then. Hello, John!
Hello! I'm down a well! Send help!
And the wonderful Stefanovic Papovic.
Hi, sorry, I'm just laughing about John being down a well.
John is actually recording this from in a well.
True.
This is actually our third review, I think, of Free Fire, because Stefan and Paul did their Stefan Pape show from Toronto with me behind the camera, and we've written a review. But we thought, why not? We'll just do a podcast of the
I thought
movie.
if people didn't like to hear what I had to say the first time, or the second time, then maybe the third time they'll really find out how I feel about Free Fire.
Ram it down their throats. So this one comes from Ben Wheatley, who has previously directed Kill List and Sightseers and High Rise. I mean, he's vastly becoming an extremely prominent director. If you just look at the cast in this movie on that poster there, you can just see how many people want to work with him just because of his visual style and the stories he tells, because he doesn't just direct these movies, he writes them as well. Guys, Stefan, you've seen this one, and I have too. What did you think of it?
Well, to begin with, I absolutely adored it. I mean, the first half an hour, I remember thinking, this could be a real kind of classic. This could generate a cult following and be considered one of the great films of our time, because we meet all of these characters. It's got a really, like you said, ensemble cast. You know, Brie Larson, Michael Smiley, Cillian Murphy, Sam Riley, Sharlto Copley. You've got Jack Rayner, Babu Cisse. It's just this huge cast. Armie Hammer, and every character has their own kind of wit and sensibilities. And you think, okay, this is great. And there's this tension because it's sort of. Basically, the whole thing is it's an arms deal, and it's between different people, and everyone's really on edge, and the dialogue is just flowing, and there's such an intensity to this movie. But then about half an hour in, that intensity is broken because the first shot is fired, and from that moment onwards, it becomes, in my opinion, a quite generic, just kind of shoot 'em up, where it loses that kind of edge and that kind of intelligence, I think, that the first act had, that kind of almost pulpy Tarantino sort of style kind of approach to filmmaking, and then after that it's just a room full of people shooting at each other, and that's literally what happens for about an hour. And I think it almost felt like Ben Wheatley was writing in it and thought, this is great, I love it, what do we do now? And they just went, how long have we got? Half an hour? Oh god, we need another hour. Just fire the first shot, because nothing really happens from that moment onwards. It's a real shame, because honestly, about half an hour in, I was just sat there thinking, this is great, and it just loses its way. It just doesn't quite know where to go, and I think they could have just maintained the conversation for longer before the first shot was fired, because as soon as the first shot is fired, there's nowhere else the film can go really, because now it's suddenly no one trusts each other, so they're all just shooting at each other. But it's a shame that they couldn't have just maintained that suspense a little bit longer, and perhaps had an hour before the first shot was fired, because it was just so well written and so engaging up until that point.
But that's one of the things that Ben Wheatley does really well, is that if you think about the Sightseers and even Kill List to an extent, they're both mystery films in the sense that you don't know what's going to happen next, and he sets these worlds up particularly well, with the relationship. You think of the Michael Smiley and what's his name, Neil Maskell. Neil Maskell, yeah, in Kill List. Their relationship and their family's relationship is so crucial to the film, as it turns out in the end. But it's built up so nicely. Same with Steve Oram and Alice Lowe in Sightseers. He creates these worlds, and he sort of puts us in there, completely. And he'll ratchet it up, and he'll make it, incredibly tense until the very last moment in some of these cases. And it works completely. Sightseers wouldn't work unless you'd have had the whole, hour and a half before the ending. And it seems to me that, that is a crucial element, that the relationships that are built up in Ben Wheatley's films need to sort of play out on their own terms before they become. I mean, even with High Rise, he was adapting J.T. Ballard's novel, but even there, he set up this beautiful world, or a terrifying world, if you like, and then it kind of slowly unraveled as the film went on, because he couldn't maintain the tension of it. Is that sort of similar to here?
Yeah, but for a final scene, a big shootout is perfectly engaging.
Yeah.
I love a final scene where it all just descends into this chaos. But for an hour, it's just hard to sustain. I think that's the problem. And I think you're completely right. His story, the way he makes movies, they're slow burning stories that just they just feed you little bits along the way until they just have this grand finale. I think Kill List, which is my favorite Ben Wheatley film, is the greatest kind of like symbol of that. I think that film is the perfect example of him doing that. And this film, it looked like that might have been the case, but then at the same time, it's so fast paced and so witty from the offset. Then that actually might have been quite hard to sustain itself for an hour.
But like the standout thing or actor in this for me was Sharlto Copley, because even just off camera, you can just hear him shouting stuff, and it's hilarious. And that was throughout when that opening act does finish. And by the way, I'm completely with you, Stefan. Everything you've said, I 100% agree on. But there were elements where where that funny dialogue or that silly dialogue that could well have been ad-libbed still went on and was still brilliant. But it was just the shooting constant like that. That on paper that should be my film. I love that sort of thing, but I was bored, and I couldn't understand why, if they're supposed to be all assassins and stuff, why can't they shoot in a straight line?
That's very true. But the sound of gunshots was deafening as well. It is honestly, when I left, I was just walking down the street. I just kept sort of wincing because I was like, "Oh God, it's happening again!" I was like, "Oh no, it's fine," But you're right. I agree about Sharlto Copley. He is definitely blessed with the majority of the kind of best one-liners, and he's such an eccentric performer. Yeah. He's really great. And I thought, but I mean, all the performances are good. I think that it's one of those films where screenplay tick, director tick, acting tick. It's got everything. It's just lacking a story. And I think that sadly, in a kind of craft and a kind of business that's dictated by storytelling, that's just a little bit of an issue in this instance. I think
I haven't seen it. I am still going to see it because I'm a huge fan of Ben Wheatley and Amy Jump. I think they're a filmmaking team that always produce something interesting at the very least. I mean, you look at something like A Field in England, which was off the charts crazy, and it's so brilliant. I love it. It's so fantastic. That's the sort of film that will lose you friends when you say, "Come and watch this. It's going to blow your mind."
I don't think my mum ever forgave me, to be honest. I said, "Oh, Mum, it's on Film 4 this Friday night. You've got to see it." She called me up the next day and was like, "What? Have you got a grudge against me or something?" I was like, "Well, I love it. Really love the movie."
and the thing is, I think you were on the poster for it as well, actually. So, and Sightseers and Kill List and all the rest. So I will.
Was Down Terraces? He did
Down Terrace was his first. Yeah.
Oh, he's a great filmmaker.
Yeah,
really great filmmaker. I just hope, because I of all of his films, the only one I can actually say I wasn't a huge fan of is High Rise.
I High-Rise.
I wasn't keen.
And then Free Fire, I was like, so I feel there's been a very slight dip. So I have so much faith in Wheatley that he it's not like this is going to be the start.
No, well, his next film, or at least Alicia Vikander's been announced to star in his next film with him, which is quite a testament when you've got Brie Larson, who I think they shot this before she'd won the Oscar, but Alicia has won the Oscar and is off to work with Ben on the next project. So it really is a testament to his prowess and how great he is that people want to work with him, I think.
I think he's one of those directors where I feel like his best movie hasn't been made yet, and that's always quite exciting.
Yeah, very much. And his next one, Freak Shift, is apparently about women with shotguns fighting giant crabs.
Let's hope they don't shoot that first shot until an hour in.
But do you know what though? This film has been divisive because you look, a lot of the reviews have been 4-star, and people genuinely loved it, I think. So maybe there's something we're missing that other people, got more out of it than we did.
I have a feeling I'm going to really like it because I am a sort of just by default a big fan of what he's done so far, what they've both done so far. So I think that when I see it, I think I'm going to enjoy it quite a lot.
Awesome. So that's our thoughts on Free Fire. Do let us know once you've seen it what you thought in the comments below. As always, you can subscribe to our YouTube, Facebook, Twitter and Instagram channels. And do let us know what you think of this film. And we'll look forward to seeing you on the next edition of the Mouth Off Vidcast. Take care. Bye.
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 Or au revoir. I mean, you can take your pick.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey, you guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed,
Nice.
Hey You